A very good afternoon to you and welcome to today's edition of Joy Business Masterclass. Masterclass is powered by Joy Business and is brought to us by Goyle. Goyle, good energy, Goyle, Yenara, Yedia. Masterclass comes your way every Wednesday at 1:30 p.m. and runs all the way through to 2:15 p.m. here on your superstation, Joy 99.7. My name, as always, is Yaw Anim Barnafo, and I'm glad to be your host for today's edition of Masterclass. Last week, we concluded our discussions with Joyce Sikachum on breaking through your inner barriers and becoming one's best self. For those of our listeners who missed that conversation, by all means, do go to our Facebook page, I beg your pardon, and all those videos will be available for you to watch before you can become a good entrepreneur, a good business person, a good leader, a good COO, or a good employee. You need to overcome certain things, like the things that inhibit you from becoming your best self and knowing yourself truly well. What are the things that make you feel that sometimes you can't or you cannot do certain things? If you understand yourself better, then you can lead yourself better. Taka Awori here on the show at one point said to us that one of the best things of leadership is to be able to lead yourself. And so by all means, do go to our Facebook page and watch that video, and you'll be able to learn some things for yourself. Today, we move into another important or topical area of conversation, and I'm rather excited about this one because here on Masterclass, we're starting something new, something fresh, something exciting, something that is going to bring tangible and practical benefits to you. It's the beginning of our 13-week series here on Masterclass on the area of agribusiness. I'm sure that you'll all attest to the fact that post-COVID, or during COVID and the period afterwards, a lot of innovation has occurred here in our country and all over the world as well. People have begun to look at new and additional ways of doing things that will bring them some extra income that will also be able to while away their time tangibly, or should I say practically. And so we're going to be bringing you some series here on agribusiness, information that will help you either decide to make agriculture a main or a side hustle. There are many questions when it comes to agriculture. People say it's too expensive. The weather is not. It's not easy to to be able to predict the weather, and so sometimes your crops will get destroyed. There'll be no rain. There'll be too much rain, or sometimes even when you're doing animal husbandry, things happen. The animals get sick. There's too much expense in medication. People went into catfish. The fish food is too expensive. All of those questions, we will answer them here for you in the next 13 weeks here on Masterclass. We want at the end of this whole conversation for you to make a decision to either make agribusiness your main or your side hustle. And so to start, that conversation for us, we're going to be going into an introductory conversation today, if you like. We're going to be looking at introduction to agribusiness. And like we always do here on the show, we bring you Ghanaians of renown who are well versed in their field of endeavor right here in Ghana, who are able to help you to make that decision. We bring you all that information pro bono here on Masterclass, so you don't have to pay for it. All you need to do is to listen to the show today or go back and watch the video once it's done. And to do that, we have a distinguished agricultural journalist. I didn't know we had agricultural journalists in Ghana. He's also a farmer, a philanthropist, a communications expert, and an agripreneur. I like that combination. With a profound passion for agriculture in Africa, my resource person also possesses exceptional managerial and leadership skills and effective communication abilities and expertise in project management. Her impact in the agricultural sector is significant, and her previous roles include communications director at Liam's Foundation and communication and research assistant at the Parliament and Research in the Republic of Ghana, I beg your pardon. My resource person holds a Bachelor of Arts degree in Strategic Communications from the African University College here in Accra, and a diploma in journalism from the JE University College. She's also done some work with the Young Leaders in Canada and the overall Agricultural Journalist of the Year Award in the Africa Women and Agribusiness Awards in Ghana in 2023. She currently serves as an agricultural ambassador and advisor for Castnet, an international chamber of commerce in the USA, and she was awarded a scholarship by the People's Friendship University of Russia to study a certificate in communication journalism in the digital age. She's also a member of the Agricultural Influencers Network in Ghana. Her CV goes on and on. It's one of those CVs that when I grow up, I want to be like her. She's interviewed very high-profile diplomats, including the country director of the World Food Program here in Ghana, and her CV goes on and on. Let me just go straight to our resource person for our conversation this afternoon. Very, very, very well-renowned Ghanaian, who's the CEO and founder of Count on Crops Hub here in Ghana. She also likes to refer to as the Ghanaian farmer. So if you know any farmer who's listening to the show this afternoon, call them to listen to the show. My resource person for this afternoon is in the person of Enyonam Manye. She prefers to be called Enyonam Manye. Enyonam, I'm excited. Your CV it goes on and on and on. On and on and on and on and on.
Much, but you shouldn't have read
No,
everything.
see, the thing is, I want my listeners to know that whatever we're sharing with them comes from a place of deep knowledge.
Right.
And not just something we read on the internet that we're sharing with them. Because a lot of people today look at farming and they look at it in the traditional lens of what we used to know back in the day. And think that farming, is one of those people who are in the hinterlands and they're sharing, they're just growing our crops for us to eat. But
Exactly.
people don't understand that technology, digitization, and modernity has come to play in that space of agriculture also. And that's what's making it relevant to our lives today.
Right.
I just put this in here before and then I'll hand over to you.
Okay.
Samuel Johnson, who's also an entrepreneur and author, had this to say about agriculture. And he says that agriculture not only gives riches to a nation, but the only riches she can call her own. John F. Kennedy, former president of the United States, said, "The farmer is the only man in our economy who buys everything at retail, sells everything at wholesale, and pays freight both ways." There's a lot more, but I'll leave that to you now. This whole conversation on agribusiness, agriculture, making it a main hustle, a side hustle, there's a lot of stereotypes and thoughts about agriculture from back in the day. How do we restructure, reposition ourselves in that thought process and begin to view agriculture as a viable business alternative, even for today's professional? You don't have to be a full-time farmer, but you can do it on the side. Introduce us to that conversation, if you will.
Thank you very much. And once again, good afternoon to all your listeners and those who are watching us on social media from Ghana and across the globe. You're most welcome to today's episode on Masterclass. I must say I'm honored to join the League of Champions who have had their share in this seat. Thank you very much. So today is a very interesting subject. I would say that agribusiness or agriculture is a very rewarding career that if you do and do it well, it would pay off or it pays off. That is if you do. Every industry or profession has its own principle. And so you need to know the principle of agriculture or agribusiness before you venture into it. So I'll kickstart with us having an overview into agribusiness here in Ghana. And so if you're listening, you can get some pen and paper and do some few notes here and there. So Ghana's agribusiness sector holds an immense potential, offering a wide range of opportunity for investors and entrepreneurs to capitalize on. With our fertile land, our favorable climate and rich agricultural tradition, Ghana is poised to become a hub of sustainable and profitable agribusiness activities that can drive economic growth, ensure food security, and create meaningful employment for its people. Now, what I'm trying to pick up from this is, yes, in every economy we have key drivers that contribute their quota. And one of the key elements or drivers of Ghana's economy is agriculture. And it cannot be put aside or set aside. It plays a very, very strategic role. Apart from creating one of the biggest employment, apart from giving us our daily food to eat, putting money in our pocket, it also pays some dues. We also pay tax as farmers in this country. So that should go a long way to tell you how much of importance agriculture means to every country's economy. And for that matter, stakeholders, being it from government to private sector, must pay attention and not just focus on other sectors. We in the agri sector are doing our bit and we need every support to make us grow. Now, I asked myself some question, and I think that if you're back home and you're also listening, you can also ask your own question and find answers to it. I was asking myself, when we mentioned the word agribusiness, what exactly, in simple terms, what are we talking about? So agribusiness refers to the business of agriculture, encompassing all activities that generate returns on investment, your time, your money, and energy. This includes crop production. We have livestock, we have aquaculture, and we have value added or value addition. This is my basic way of explaining or defining agribusiness.
Even before you go on with agribusiness, my mind goes back to crops. And I remember offline, before we came on it,
Yes.
we're talking about why the name of your company is
Count on crops.
Count on Crops. And you made a very profound statement in your response. And you said, yeah, the reason I chose that name is because everything goes back to crops.
Exactly.
And I said, but in farming, my basic understanding tells me that there's also animal farming. And he said, but what do the animals eat?
Exactly.
Now, for me, that goes back to the basic sustenance conversation for humanity. That regardless of how processed it is, regardless of how natural or raw it is, it goes back to the plant and vegetation
Exactly.
cover. And I remember there was a joke about a time when some kids were asked in school, where do tomatoes come from? They said, tomatoes comes from the mall. Whether we are teaching our children right or not, everything goes back to the sustenance conversation.
Yes.
And if you look at the land size of Ghana, the land size of Ghana is 238,540 square kilometers.
That's how much we have.
That's how much land is available.
Yes.
I mean, all you need to do is to drive out of Accra, past Wager, on your way to Cape Coast.
Vast land.
And there's land.
Yes.
And we're fighting in Accra over land.
Exactly.
And I'm saying that to support what you're saying, people can decide to make that a main thing. Even though there's reserved land, there's forestry for our climate and everything, there's still a lot of land available for the farming conversation, should we choose to go to it.
Exactly.
And so long as it becomes an important part of our sustenance conversation, it's a good thing to look at.
It is.
I know that later on in the conversation, people talk about imports and all that. We'll come to that.
We'll come to that.
But for now, to buttress your point, agriculture is viable.
Very. Now, proceeding, we will talk about or look at the sector's component. We had mentioned that already, which is crop production, and the crop production comprises of all the vegetables that you can use to cook your meal in your home, from tomatoes to onions, carrot, cabbage, everything, maize, and all those things. They are all crop production. Then livestock farming, we are looking at your cow, your chicken, your goat and sheep, your pig. All of this, grass cutter, rabbits, they are all part of the livestock. Then, of course, when we come to the aquaculture, those of you who have interest in fish farming or tilapia farming, that is what you should be focusing on, doing your research, looking for the market and considering investing into it. Then the value added part of it all. That is one of the key things that we have to look at. If we are trying to cut down on post-harvest loss, then value addition is the way to go. Because you will see now when you go to the market, recently I saw the agric minister in the market and pointing us at some boxes and saying it's now 400 and 500. But 2 months ago, before then or today, it was around 6,000, 7,000. Do you understand? So if you're a farmer and you're going into crop production or vegetable farming, the question you have to be asking yourself is, who is going to add value to this? And that is why it's very important that in the business of agribusiness, you always have to consider your market first. Do not assume that everybody is eating tomatoes, so I'm going to produce tomato. Maybe when you go to the market, and that's why the market women will tell you, they are able to tell you this tomato is from Ghana, this is from Burkina Faso, this is from Mali, because they know what the consumers want. And so as a farmer, don't just think about the production, think about the value addition. Think about who is consuming. Think about where you're going to be trading what it is you're selling. So it's very important that government and we farmers also would look beyond just the production and consider the value addition bit, so that we will not just invest money that will not yield any profit, but we'll be able to make some resources or profit at the end of the day. When
you speak to value chain, and I know that this whole conversation on agribusiness is a rather big one.
Yeah.
So we're not looking at only the farmers as a beginning of the process. We're also looking at land we're looking at. But I'm even just going to ask a quick question on value addition. That are there also opportunities in the value addition process here in Ghana today? I ask this question because most of our exports are in their raw state. Lately, we began to do a bit of work. So you see processed gari, you see processed, some rather interesting ones. I've seen gari with sugar and milk. I've seen coconut. I've seen a few
spices. There are a lot of local spices now.
So there is a bit of traction, if you like, in that sector. But how easy is it for one to go into the value chain, the value addition process that you talk about? Tomato. I've not seen processed tomato. And if you are into that field, please, when we get interactive, pick up that phone. We want to share knowledge so that everybody can know what's going on and be a part of it. How easy is it to go into the value addition?
The processed tomato, I've seen one with, when you go to MOFA, Ministry of Food and Agriculture, they have a directorate that is responsible for women.
Right.
They train women on how to process the tomato into pastes. And I think CSRI also have a department that also are able to train young people who want to process tomato, but it's not big. It's not big because, before you do processing, you need machines in place.
Right.
You need to set up, being it a mini factory or a big factory, you need it. Then you need a technical know-how to go about the processing. Then if you move from there, you talk about the branding. So all these components come
Parts
in
of the value chain.
Understand.
Yeah.
So before you do the value addition, you need to make sure all these bits and pieces are all joined together. Then you can have a solid product at the end of the day that you can sell locally or even, export it to somewhere else. And I think that when it comes to the value addition too, one of the things that is discouraging people has to do with the costs involved. Because people are bringing it from elsewhere, it arrives here, they pay duty but still manage to sell it cheaper. So when you process, you buy this machine, everything, you process, and your cost of production is so high. It means yours gets the market and is more expensive than the ones.
With,
thank you very much. You understand? So we have to find ways and means to get young people who can fabricate a lot of these machines for us. And interesting, on the Ghanaian Farm, I hosted one young man in Kumasi, Saytech, and they fabricate a lot of agriculture machines that you can use to harvest your maize, cocoa pod breaking machines.
Say all of our people who are coming out from these
agric engineering
technical universities, if we encourage them and we fund them, and you're listening to us this afternoon, you've got the funds, you're thinking, where do I invest? We can start small. Even with your company, I mean,
Count on Crops.
We can engage your company, get in touch with some of these people, support them on an experimental basis.
Exactly.
And then they can start.
Yes.
The point I'm trying to make is we can plug in at just one point of the value chain process. If everybody's plugging in at one point, it helps. And I mean, well done to MOFA and to CSI for what they're doing. I'm going to encourage you, if there's anyone listening who knows anybody at MOFA, we're going to get interactive with CSI. Tell them to pick up the phone and give us a call. But we want you to lead that conversation in that chat where you say, there are opportunities available. If you have money, yes, invest in the technical. If you have expertise, come to this area. If you have just completed a technical school, technical university in agriculture, come. We can plug you in this part of the process. Then when we have all the inputs in the various areas, together we can have one long, beautiful chain.
Yeah. I think that's what we're not preaching, or a lot of people are not preaching. The agriculture value chain is pretty much long. I always tell young people who approach me that I want to go into farming, I tell them that, listen, enough of the production. We want
value addition.
Thank you. We want marketers. We want those who invest in the machinery as well. So look in that aspect. For instance, there's a community called Swano. When you go there, the whole farming community does not have one single tractor. So they have to go to Insawam to bring a tractor to come and plow during their season. So that's a business opportunity right there staring in the face of an investor who can buy, let's say, 2-3 tractors, just leave it there, get someone to manage it, and you make money.
Let us throw a challenge out there on this show today. In the next 13 weeks, let somebody who's interested get in touch with your company and buy one tractor for the Ayinsuano farming community and help them and come back on the show and testify about it.
That's it.
Together we build our country.
We are up for that challenge. That's what this platform is meant for.
Indeed.
So we'll proceed and talk about some importance about agribusiness. And the agribusiness is very crucial for sustainable food security. It also we have all acknowledged that it drives economic growth. It supports social development because when this season starts, a lot of young people are busy when you go to the rural areas. So at the end of the day, he or she will not have time to go and engage in other social vices. It also drives a lot of social development. It is the backbone of many economy, particularly in developing countries like ours. It helps a lot. And the sector plays a pivotal role in employment. When you go out there now, there are a lot of people who are engaged, including even private people, the stakeholders, people who are in the corporate space are all engaged. People are developing interest and are moving into that space. Now let's look at the overview of agribusiness in Ghana. Some of the demands, and I get this question a lot, people will ask, Enyonam, what can I produce that is in high demand? And I say almost everything is in demand.
Yes.
Everything is in high demand. Talk of, crops like maize. It features in almost all our daily meal that we eat.
Carbohydrates.
Thank you. And the maize, yeah, we have the yellow and the white. You see, people have to be so much aware of what they are going to do. The yellow and the white. The white is usually what we use for our banku and things. The yellow is what the livestock farmers love a lot. The poultry guys and others. So even before you till your land and grow that maize, be able to identify which one am I going for and who am I selling to. Don't just go and produce maize because you see somebody having 100 acres of maize farm. But beyond just maize, there are target people to sell maize.
So look
to.
for information.
Thank you. Educate yourself. Visit other farmers and be able to know exactly where you're heading. So maize is the cassava is one of the huge commodities that people are looking for. From starch to the gari to the cassava flour, many things is being used,
When I say cassava, my mind goes to fufu.
Beyond your fufu yao, there are a lot of things you can do from cassava. The soya bean, coconut. I got a client from UK recently who wanted enough dry coconut to buy from Ghana. In fact, every month he wanted a 40-footer container. But
that's much coconut.
Yes, but we do not have enough in the system.
Please, does this person still want the 40-footer container?
If I'm ready to give him a client, a supplier,
so again,
he's
here
ready.
on today's show, on
Yes.
Masterclass, we're putting it out there.
Yes.
Get in touch with Count on Crops.
Yes.
In this period of, agribusiness, we want to make it practical to our listeners and to Ghanaians. We are not just teaching you principles of business. We want you to do practical things that will help your business. So again, there's another lead for the supply of a 40-footer container worth of, is it dry or is it fresh coconut? Or?
No, the dry one.
The dry
he
coconut.
Wants the dry one.
We're looking for a 40-footer container of dry coconut. Get in touch with Multimedia. Get in touch with Count on Crops.
He's
We
looking
want it
for
to
the
be
dry
practical.
one to
And
buy.
when you are done,
Yes.
come back here and tell us on the
Exactly.
show so that other people can begin to see that we're making traction.
Yeah. So coconut is one of the things that you can look at and invest your money into it. Coconut has a lot of benefit. Yeah, there is no part of coconut you can throw away.
It's like the palm, isn't
Thank
it?
you. I'm moving to palm. Coconut, you get a lot from coconut.
Yeah.
So if you're into coconut farming, I bet you that you would make your money. Depending, you get the hybrid or the quality seedling, you take care of it well. You see, farming is like a human being. Don't leave your farm in the bush and expect the best out of it. Make sure you monitor your farm.
Pay attention to it.
Thank you. The agronomy practices have to be on point. And you get the best out
And so
of
get
it.
help before you start.
Thank
Don't
you.
just say, "Oh, my friend was doing oranges, so I've got a land. I'm great." You don't even know the seedlings.
No.
You don't know the soil type.
Yes.
You don't know. Invest into it. Ask questions.
It's very important.
There are people whose job it is to provide that information.
That
So ask
information,
questions.
guidance for you to do and do it right.
Indeed.
So it's very important. Coconut, you can, oil palm, you mentioned you can do that. Mangoes, you can, the green mangoes, it is always a spot. I know a friend who always export green mangoes from Ghana to other European countries and they consume it. So you can consider mango. Our tomatoes, we always eat. Our onions, our chilies, the bird eye is what we export a lot out of this country. So you can consider, your cucumbers, it's all part of some of the things you want to do. And when it comes to the livestock farming, pork. Yeah, tell me, if I walk through down here to down here, I will see a pork joint.
I'm telling you.
I will see a pork joint. So when it comes to the livestock farming, pork is one thing
we have
you
a
can look
fetish.
at.
You know how we used to have a fetish with keep clubs
Right.
back in the day.
Yes.
And then it came to fruits in Ghana. I think now it's pork.
It is. Every joint, you will see pork and fried yam, you buy and enjoy. So livestock, you can look at that. Your goat, your sheep, your rabbit and grass cutter. If you see the people's interest in grass cutter, it's amazing.
Back in the day, you would only get grass cutter if
In
you were
the bush.
traveling on the roads.
Okay,
Then
now
you
we
can get it by the roadside.
now we are making it
Now
domestic.
people are rearing grass cutter
in the house.
house.
Exactly. It's an animal that does not make noise. It doesn't disturb. So if you have a small space wasting away and it's your home, or even it's a rented place and your landlord doesn't mind, just get the structures put together and start your grass cutter farm. It's about time we create job for ourselves in our Greek. Because if you're seated there and complaining about, I don't have money, who will put money in your pocket? There is money staring in your face and you have to take a step to be able to make that money.
Indeed.
Find problems and get solutions for such problems
Indeed.
and you move on. Now we're looking at some of the key benefits that agribusiness can bring to us as a country. And we've mentioned that over and over again, which is one is employment, okay? It reduces the unemployment if all the structures are in place and young people would go into that. Of course, if we have funding to it, encourage a lot of people to go into that space. So it creates employment for us. And food security, the SDGs, we are championing it, and 2030 is staring in our face. So the question is that, are we on the verge of becoming food secured? We can only achieve that if enough of production is happening. We are having enough to consume and enough to export out there. But in the absence of that, then we've failed the SDGs that we've written for ourselves. We have to maybe give us another time and try to see if we can meet. Thank you very much. And we have to utilize the country's fertile and favorable climate. Our climate is good. All that you need to know is that be able to study which region grows what. So before you go into agribusiness or agriculture, know what is best for Volta region. Know what you can do in the central region. Know what you can do in the northern region. Know, and you'll be able to grow something that works there. But in the absence of such research, you get a land and assume that. So for the Ayens one, the man told me, you can't do cashew here. It will not do well. You can't do,
because you've tried it.
Exactly. So before you rent a land or buy a land in a particular region, make sure you ask questions. Does this do well here? And even back it up with soil testing, like you mentioned. It would help you to make a very salient, conclusion. It also stimulates our economy or growth through increased agriculture export and value addition. If we are able to increase our production and the quality meet the international standard. Of course, what do we get at the end of the day? We get to export and we get to make some money into the country, and we help to move things. So those are some of the key benefits that agribusiness or agriculture can bring to a country, and it's very important that we pay attention to it. Now, supportive ecosystem. Most of people, when they call me, I get some Nigerians who are living in Canada and other places, and they tell you, Enyonam, I want to come and invest in Ghana. And I ask them, why do you choose here over your end? And he'll tell you, your political stability is one of the things we jealous a lot in other countries. So, in the absence of everything, or in the face of all the challenges and all that, we still, Ghanaians, we have our own way of going about things. We can talk and yell on radio and TV, but we still take care of each other. So
don't we thank God for that?
We thank God for that, my brother. So our political stability also encourages the ecosystem, and invite a lot of investors to come around and make research and find what works for them to invest. Economic development is one of the ways that is a supportive ecosystem that also help agribusiness. Social cultural dynamics create a favorable environment for agribusiness investment and growth. Of course, one of the supportive when you go to the rural areas to rent a land or buy a land for farming, if you see the warm reception, even when you drive into the rural area, all the men and the women and young people are all warm. They are warm towards you, the welcome and everything. That alone gives an investor some sense of thank you, that when I invest in this ecosystem, I am safe. I've interviewed some Netherlands, citizens who are in the central region and have one of the biggest catfish farm. And I asked them, how long have you been here? They've been here for past 15 years. And don't you miss? He says, I love it here. That's how much he loves
and that's
the place.
Another thing. You see, we somehow, and it's not a bad thing, we've been made to believe, and we've been conditioned based on the political structural system, that all of life is in the cities. There are people in this country who have been here for years. When they came, they landed at the airport, they got onto the next bus. They are sitting in Fanchinico. That's where they've been. And they're making a lot of money. And you're sitting here in Accra and you're saying there's no business in the villages.
Exactly.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yes.
I mean, that.
So they've been there for 15 years and they are doing business.
And I'm sure in that place, there are people who migrated from there to Accra and have still not in the last 15 years made it the way they wanted to make it. And yet somebody came from Netherlands and are sitting in...
He and his son, they've been there for God knows how long. They have a big facility and they do catfish fingerlings and they sell to the local folks who want to go into the production. That's what they've been doing.
God help us.
It is well with us. So
God help
it
us.
is well. So we move on to the next slide, which is investment opportunities that we can explore in Ghana's agribusiness sector. And we are looking at high food import bill. Now, Ghana has a significant food import bill presenting an opportunity to reduce import through increased domestic production and value addition. So you see, we invest a lot of money in importing stuff, but how can we slow down this, or put an end or put a cap to it?
Flip the balance,
Thank
if
you.
you like.
That's it.
More exports, less imports.
Thank you.
I mean, I know
So
there's a whole conversation around
yes,
it.
so
but
support the local farmers and let them increase their production. Let add value to it, and let's see if the conversation will not change.
Because when we import, money goes out of our pocket.
Thank you.
It puts money in some individual's pocket, but as a country, it takes money out of our pocket. The last time I heard this submission on the morning show, and they told us the amount of money in Ghana's expenditure budget for Yemwadie. Kojo Yankson, good afternoon to you, Yemwadie.
He's a big fan of Yemwadie.
I freaked out. I mean, hold that thought for me. On that Yemwadie note, if we want our listeners to be a part of this conversation, we'll take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we get interactive.
That's okay.
Your favorite on-air business development program, Joy Business Masterclass, is in session, and you can interact with us on Facebook via the Joy 99.7 FM or Joy Business pages. If you tweet, the handle is at Joy 997 FM or at Joy Business GH. Don't forget to hashtag JB Masterclass. You can also call us on 0302 216541 or send your questions and contributions through to the WhatsApp number 0551 111997, and our facilitators will address your concerns. Attention everyone, class is in progress.
Welcome back. If you've just tuned in, this is Masterclass here on your superstation Joy 99.7. We're here in the studio with Enyonam Manye, CEO and founder of Count on Crops, the Ghanaian farmer. Today we're introducing the conversation on the Agribusiness series. Phone lines are now open. Numbers to call 0302 216 541. That's 0302 216 541. You can also give us a message on 055 1111997. Just remind us also that today's edition of Masterclass is brought to us by Goyle. Goyle, good energy, Goyle, Yenara, Yedia.
Right.
Goyle PLC, your CIMG Hall of Fame and 2022 Petroleum Company of the Year, has taken the lead again. Goyle has opened ultra-modern liquefied petroleum auto gas service stations across the nation. The modern auto gas service is safe, it's clean, and it offers affordable alternative fuel for your vehicle. So look out for the Goyle Auto Service Station in the following areas: Bema Camp Goyle Service Station, Accra; Kweshi Goyle Service Station, Accra; Pedu Junction Goyle Service Station, Cape Coast; Mpintin Goyle Service Station, Takrade; Kentin Krono Goyle Service Station, Kumasi. Goyle, delivering the safest and affordable gas at your convenience. Goyle, they say good energy. Goyle, Yenara, Yedia. Phone lines are now open. Numbers to call 0302 216 541. And I know you've got a lot more to share with us. So while we're waiting for those phone lines to ring and those messages to come through, let's go through the rest of
Yes, so I'll just go through this quick, and then we continue to engage our audience. So the other thing I'll touch on when it comes to the investment opportunities in Ghana, we mentioned it early, abundant arable land and natural resources. Ghana's fertile land and abundant water resources such as rivers and streams provide excellent condition for agriculture development and irrigation. And so some of the regions, like my own region, Volta region, Tefle, when you get to Sogakope, going in there are a lot of abundant of water. All you need to do is invest in irrigation, pumps and all that, and you can be able to grow your vegetables all year round and make some very good money. So these are some of the opportunities that you can tap into. Now, when we move to the value addition opportunities in agribusiness, production. Okay, opportunities exist in direct and indirect agriculture production activities, as well as support services for mechanization and the use of innovative technology.
Right.
I think behind the scenes, before we came here, I was telling you about drones. I know a farmer, Farmer Global. His name is Fred Kukubo. He does some huge, about 300 to 500 rice farm in the Volta region.
Wow.
And he
Acres.
leveraged on innovative tools like the drone, the commercial drone for his spraying and other activities. When you go there, you see the heavy machines that he's using
People
to
are
work.
doing things in Ghana.
People are doing
Please,
things,
are you
and they
who
need
are in the cities who are saying there's
Exactly.
no job? We will, on Masterclass,
You
we
know,
will
he
show
used
you
to be
where-
a big time corporate worker
There you
with
go.
a manager with people under him. He said, you know what? Agric will give me more than I'm earning here every month. And he left his office, and now he's in the bush. And so, look, I met a doctor who told me, listen, Enyonam, when I was a doctor, I was driving a saloon car. But today he's driving a Tundra.
I like the way you said it. Tundra.
Yes. So today he's driving a Tundra, and he tells me that, listen, Enyonam, this is where I belong. My mother didn't understand when I resigned from my medical practice, but this is where I belong.
Agriculture can put money in your pocket.
I swear, my
We will
brother.
put his details out, and we'll make sure that the youth who are looking for
Yeah.
opportunities
Yeah.
can link up with him and all other people like
Yeah.
him, and also do something for themselves.
Very important.
For themselves.
Yes,
indeed.
very important.
Yeah.
So, moving on to the next in the value chain opportunities in agribusiness, aggregation. Investment can be made in packaging, transportation, and sales to efficiently aggregate and distribute agricultural product to domestic and international market. I think we mentioned that also. If you don't want to farm, you don't want to invest in tractors and other things, you can be an aggregator. Okay, move from Kwame's farm, KR Farms, who is into coconut production, move from his farm, go and buy enough coconut with a heavy truck, come to Accra, give it to the truck. The small boys who use the wheelbarrow, come and give to them. Go back to KR Farms.
So you become a go-between.
That's it. You are aggregating. You don't need to stress yourself and do this and do that. There are other ways you can make money.
Right.
Go to Fred Kukubo. Tell him, listen, when you harvest your rice, I want to buy the paddy. And then you will process it, package it nicely, sell it in the international malls we have here, or even export it to other markets. Let them see the local Ghanaian rice and be excited about it. How about that? Be an aggregator. In the value chain, you can become an aggregator. You don't need to be in the field. You don't need to move from bush to bush like I do.
Yeah.
Get another thing else to do. Now you come to processing, also in the value chain. Opportunities abound in the processing of grains, vegetables, fruit, and other agricultural commodities to create value-added products. Okay, in the grains, when you harvest your grains, being it the dry, you can do a lot of things from the dry grains that you've harvested, and it will give you a lot of money. The tomato, like we mentioned, you can process it so it doesn't go rotting. Your chili pepper, you can process into powder. Why do we go to China to buy chili, powder pepper, when you have abundance of chili here in Ghana, in our farms? All we need is a mini factory to process this chili into the pepper we want. We like pepper in our food. So why do we go to buy
And we
it
have
elsewhere?
technical students graduating every year, and they can do
From
it.
technical schools.
They can do it.
They can do it. So let's train them, let them fabricate the machine, and let's process and let's package. How beautiful is it that you see Ghanaian chili powder pepper in London or America or somewhere? It gives you some form of pride that our chili is here. Even though we are exporting the green one in its raw state, how about the ripe one? We're processing it. So you can also position yourself in the area of processing or value addition and make some good money, because at the end of the day, farmers want money from their harvest. Okay, now we move on to some case studies of agribusiness opportunities, and we'll talk about transport and logistics. The trucks that move from one rural area to go and take these things and bring it to the city. How about you saying that, look, me, all I want to do is I want to buy about 10 trucks. Okay, 2 is in the north, 2 is in the Volta, 2 is in the western. They will go and assist farmers who want to bring stuff to Accra to sell, and you charge them some fee.
Yeah.
I have a farmer who buys yam from Techima and other things. Imagine if you have some 5 or 3 trucks and you go talk to Marflis that, hey, you know what, I have 3 trucks there. If you want to bring down yam from there to this place, just talk to me. Call my drivers. That you are positioning yourself in the agribusiness
Value chain.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
yeah.
So then again, when anybody says, I don't want to go into agri, I say that you are missing out. You are not asking the right questions, or you are not meeting the right. So logistics is one you can look at. Sacks and packaging. Our maize and the cereals, the soya bean, we use sacks, right?
Of course.
We use sacks to package them and all that. How about you finding ways and means to bring down some of these sacks and move to the areas that produce a lot of these cereals and supply them?
We're always importing everything. Oh gosh.
Mechanization, I already mentioned it.
Yeah.
Yes, one people need tractor. So they will not go to Insawam again. So if you're out there being a Ghanaian here in Ghana or abroad and you have money, you don't want to go into farming with all the stress that come with it. Please, just buy 2 tractors, leave it at Ayenswano. I would manage it for you.
Yeah.
I'll get people to manage and we would account for it.
That's it. I was gonna
so
say,
they can make some money.
Exactly.
Mechanization is one way. Invest in drones, commercial drones. Farmers would rent it and use it to do their spraying and fertilizer application and all these things. So you can also position yourself in the area of the mechanization. And then, of course, crop-specific businesses. It's always important that if you want to do the agriculture thing and all that, you should be sure that establishing successful business models around crops like maize, coconut, you can make sure that you have positioned yourself there. Be known for something.
Exactly.
Okay? Don't be running around with everybody. So my last slides, the economic impact of agribusiness in Ghana. And number 1 is the economic contribution. Okay, agribusiness generate substantial revenue, create employment opportunities. I think we've mentioned this over and over again. It's one of the impact that it creates. And food security and trading, when we are able to produce enough, would reduce relying on other countries to supply us. If we help our tomato farmers, if we help our farmers to produce, irrigated tomatoes and all that, high quality varieties, we will stop relying on others. So it's very important. Then, of course, we look at the social and environmental impact that, agribusiness provide livelihood for the people in the rural areas.
Right.
If we help them, there's nothing like migrating to the city. There's a lot of noise. So let's welcome the questions, contributions now.
Yeah. I've got a lot of questions on social media. This one says, good afternoon, Masterclass. Please, I can supply the coconut. How do I get in touch? My name is Freeman from Kaswa. So let's put out Count on Crops contact. How do they contact you after today's conversation?
So you can reach out to Count on Crops on 0554 830431. 0554 830431. But don't call me after 6 p.m. I'm a married woman. Thank you very much.
Okay. I've got another one. This says, good afternoon, Yaw. It's a great idea to go into farming, but we're selling our lands to real estate agents. Very soon there will be no land to farm on. That's Gabriel Danso from somewhere in Afinia. It says Mataheko. Gabriel, point well made, but I think that there's still quite a bit of land that we can use. But it's a fair point. Instead of selling those lands to make a one-time gain from X amount, 100,000, 150,000, if we put that in the value chain of the conversation we're having, we'll make that 150,000 and more. And the land may still be ours to make more money from, if we look at it that way. Having said that, it doesn't mean we shouldn't do real estate, but let's position ourselves properly. This one says, good day, Yaw and guest. Great and well-explained discussion. Have a lovely day. This one is Sarah Manful from inside of Winneba. I've got another one. This is good afternoon. Please, I have the ideas and I went to Agri College, but my problem is capital. To start, I want to do poultry and piggery. Any help? The help is that call Count on Crops, call Enyonam. She's positioned herself well, so she has access to people who want to invest, people who are already investing, people who want to be in the value chain, and people who want to be in any part of the agribusiness process. Enyo, please put your number out again for me, if you will, to this particular
0554 830431.
Yeah. Okay. This one says, good afternoon. I heard Enyo mention Ayensu Ano. The area is now a risky zone. I had 10 acres of sweet pepper farm vandalized by sand winners. Okay, there's a name that I won't mention the name. A certain company also suffered the same fate around the same time last year. Land tenure must be looked at closely, as it is one of the main setbacks in Ghana. This is from Kojo Agbosin. Kojo, thank you so much for your feedback. Do you want to comment quickly on that?
I think that for me, if I'm going into any area to either lease or buy a land, my first point of call is the district agric office in that community.
Brilliant.
Because they know the farmers, They know the families. They know lands with litigation
So
issues.
don't go and buy land
Don't
from
just follow
agents.
anybody.
When you enter the place,
That's
go
it.
to the owners of
Exactly.
the place first.
Go
and
to
they'll
the
tell
agric
you.
office.
Yeah.
They would even advise you as to what you can produce here and make the best out of it. But when you follow just friends or anybody who say, "Oh, I know a land you can just go and buy," you follow it. You invest and lose everything. So always look for the agric office in that district. Go to them first. Have a conversation. They will advise you if it's right or not.
Yeah, Kojo, but really sorry about your experience with the Sun Winners. But thank you for your feedback as well. I've got another one. It says, "Hello, Yaw and crew. Very insightful conversation going on technology. On the technology bits, there's this guy I know. His company is Aegis Technology. He facilitates a lot of machinery that buy along with many other young people." Okay, I'm a bit confused. It says machinery holds the future for agricultural business in our country. He also actually been hosted by the Joy Business van before. He should not be forgotten. This is from Nicholas from Abokobi. Nicholas, thank you so much for that feedback. We will pick that up. Enyonam and Co will also pick that up and try and put some information out. Okay, I think that's all I have by way of messages. Maybe I have time, maybe just about a minute more. We'll take just one more phone call and one more message. Numbers to call 03022165541. You can also send us your messages on 05511119997. And you know, when you were talking about value chain, I once upon a time chanced on a certain conversation from a group of young people, and I'm concerned about our young people because the song and the refrain today is that there are no jobs. There are no jobs. There are no jobs. But we're saying that there's an alternative to look at. Let's make it attractive for our young people to be able to get up and go back. Because if they're busy and they're working and they're doing something meaningful for themselves and their families, they will not have time for the vices. So here's what one of them said. A group of 4 young men. There's no job in Ghana. There's no money. We have to do this. And then one of them said, "No, I don't agree that there's no job in Ghana." And they said, "Why?" He says, "Because I went to the mall to go and buy something, ice cream or something, and I saw," he said, "I saw jebidie, packaged jebidie that was made in Ghana, and we're exporting it." He said, after I told himself that there's money in Ghana. If we are burning just simple wood and sending it abroad to make money, then there's money in Ghana. That was his breaking point. But I'm just buttressing the point that you're making. Conclude your conversation for us today and tell us a takeout that if we forget everything you said today, what should we not forget? And then put out your number at the end of that for me again.
Thank you very much. I'm very glad that gentleman was awakening after what he saw. Now, there's a saying that if agriculture goes wrong, nothing else would have a chance to go right.
It's true.
Yes. Aside everything that we do, there is nobody who says he or she fast on just water. At the end of the day, you break the fast and you look for food to eat. So yes, it's no more the matter of being into farming as a side hustle. You either go into it with 2 foot, or you look at what can work for you as a corporate person and an agribusiness person. For me, if I had knew that this much opportunity is what I'm going to explore in agriculture, I started just 2020 around the era of COVID. And today, all my travels are kind courtesy the Ghanaian farmer. Sponsored to travel, go and study, visit other farms. If you don't want to do anything at all, how about becoming a content creator like I am doing? I can hit my chest to say that Ghanaian Farmer is the one that opened doors for a lot of media houses to want to consider to create platforms and talk about farmers on regular basis. Initially, or some years back, it was an occasional thing when there's high food cost, when there is flooding or fire outbreak. Then they will break the news. But after that, what happens next? So my platform, you can become one. You are welcome. There are a lot of farmers that we can project their works, talk about their success, and also highlight on the plight. So join me. Let's become content creators. Create content to profile a Ghanaian farmer, an African farmer, an European farmer. Create content. And that is what you are going to do. Today, there are a lot of international organizations that I have worked with, like the World Food Program, like the Masterclass Foundation. If I wasn't doing this, I don't know if I would have ever had opportunity to work with them. So for young people out there, the matter of I am not employed or there is no jobs is not ending anytime soon. But the question you should ask yourself is, if you look at that empty pocket and how miserable you're feeling in the house, you are the only person that can change the narrative. Okay? You are the only person that can change your narrative. And so please, don't wait for any government to come and create job for you. I did not study agric, Yaw. I'm a PR person. I study
very far away from
Thank you,
agriculture.
far away. But today, I'm benefiting. I'm earning. I've gained a certain status quo because of agric.
Thank God for agriculture.
Thank God. Hey,
Shout out to all our agric teachers.
Shout out to
Agric teachers back in the day. Mr. Seku for all of those people.
I tell you, shout out to my father. When he's dragging me when I was young, I'll be crying and I don't want to go to the farm. But today he looks at me and like, is this you? Are you the same person?
Proud father.
I swear. So please, young people in Ghana, if you're listening to me, please find a niche for yourself in the agriculture landscape and exploit. Agrotourism, Yaw.
It's another whole conversation.
Thank you. Go to farmers, have a conversation, and put up their farms. When visitors come, pick them and take them to our farms. Charge them. I came back from Uganda, and agrotourism is so much high. People come and pay as much as $70, $50 just to walk around your farm, ask you a few questions, sit around and go back. So thank you very much. But if you're out there and you want to go into anything in farming, you can reach out to me. First of all, knowledge is very key. Go to YouTube, The Ghanaian Farmer. The Ghanaian Farmer. There is only one Ghanaian farmer in Ghana. The Ghanaian Farmer. Subscribe and watch all my videos.
Indeed.
And then inbox me and we will talk.
And I do sincerely hope that we're able to get you back in this conversation in the 13-week period. But this has been very exciting. I have one last comment from Alexander from Sprintex. Alex says, good afternoon, Yaw. Interesting program. Will this program be available online for playback? My answer is yes. And it will be available on our Facebook page. And by all means, go there and look for the video, and you can play it back and enjoy all the content for today. This has been Masterclass here on your Superstation Joy 99.7. We've been here in the studio with Enyonam Manye, CEO and founder of Count on Crops, the Ghanaian Farmer, and this has been the first in the 13-week series of the Agribusiness series here on Masterclass. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you same time next week.
Last long and lubricant.